Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be, I don't like what I do professionally. Well, I've got an email here from a guy who's struggling in his life. He's come to the realization over what he's been doing for the last 5 years sucks, and it doesn't excite him. It's not fulfilling. He doesn't have a passion for it, and he wants to get up and go do something for a living that he really enjoys and has a passion for. He says everything else is going well in his own life, but the professional side of things really sucks. So he writes in an email, asked, because he's tried, do I need to be an entrepreneur? And if I was going to be an entrepreneur, what the hell would I do? Should I choose another career? And if so, how do I figure out what the hell I should do next? What are the next steps? And kind of what was interesting is I was going through the different emails, figuring out what's a good topic to cover, especially now with the coronavirus and the fact that all of us have more time on our hands to kind of spend alone. And what's interesting is that a lot of couples are coming to the realization that they don't really like the person that they're with or in relationship with. And so that's obviously causing a lot of people to not only re-examine their personal life, but their professional life. And obviously in this particular case, this guy's re-examining his professional life. And what's interesting is that I heard a clip the other day from Chris Cuomo and a radio show that he does on Sirius Satellite Radio. And he was basically saying, I don't like what I do for a living professionally. He's like, all this hyper-partisanship, he's a more of an opinion type newscaster on CNN, which obviously we all know the relationship and the back and forth that CNN has had with President Trump. They've been constantly going at each other, and I think it's pretty common knowledge for most people that, especially if you've seen some of the Project Veritas videos, that Zucker, the guy that's running CNN, has just made it known that he wants his whole news organization to go after Trump. And it's like, if you turn on, everything's anti this, anti that. No matter what Trump says, they want the opposite of it. And so what's interesting is one of the biggest, loudest voices, Chris Cuomo, who's been, he was all nice and ass-kissy during the election to get him on a show, and then once he got the nomination, he just turned into an asshole to him. And it's obvious from the leaks and things that have come out, this comes from the top at CNN. This is the goal of their network. And so that's what they've all been instructed to do. What's interesting about this clip, which I shared on my Twitter, at Coach Corey Wayne, is that you can hear him say it. He's like, I don't like what I do professionally for a living. It doesn't bring him any joy. It's not adding enough value to my life. He's like, this hyper-partisanship, this arguing between left and right. He's over it. He's obviously since issued a retraction, but it's interesting because he was very honest, and you can tell, if you listen to the clip, you can tell he's being real. And that's how he really feels, but obviously now that it got out, he got a big reaction. I never really meant it like that. And, typical fucking BS fake apology that you hear. But the point being is that this guy doesn't like what he's doing for a living, and the fact and what was interesting is he brought up the fact that now I've had all this time in my hands, because he actually ended up getting the coronavirus, stuck at home, looking at his life and re-examining his life and going, I don't like myself and who I become and what I do every day. It's not exciting. It's not how I want to spend my life. So a lot of us are experiencing this, because obviously, especially this last week or so, I'm seeing my coaching sessions really take off, and so it's bringing a lot of things to the forefront with people in their personal life and their professional life. So I got a quote that I wrote, and then I'm going to go through this guy's emails, because if you're in a place where you're kind of going, I don't really like getting up and doing what I was doing for a living, and I'd kind of like to do something else, but I'm not really sure. In other words, it's a process. It's not like you just fucking snap your fingers and tomorrow you get a new job and everything is better in your life. It is a process. Anything in life worth having, whether it's creating a great relationship with a woman you really like, or creating a great business, or a great career, or getting your body in shape, it is a process and it takes time. And what gets in the way of that, because I do a lot of phone sessions, especially lately with people that are kind of faced with this question. And the thing that people struggle with is that we all have things we love and we enjoy and that we have a passion for, But there's also a lot of what gets in the way is our personal story. So if something that you want to do is over that way in that direction, and you have to move towards that, and it's exciting and compelling, and you want to do it, but you see some of the things that you're going to have to go through or to deal with that might not be exciting or compelling, and so you're looking at what you potentially have to go through, and you're associating total pain or potential pain with it. And so therefore you won't even look at that and look at that direction. And when I'm doing a phone session with somebody, I'm trying to figure out where these obstacles are by asking questions, because sometimes I've done phone sessions with people over the years, many of them where I spend 20-30 minutes just trying to get past all the bullshit and the stories and all the excuses and all the reasons why this person can't even look in the direction of the things that are exciting and compelling to them, because of all these other reasons that they've built up and this story that they've built up. And the story keeps them stuck where they are because they don't want to experience pain, because people will do more to avoid pain than they'll do to gain pleasure. And so they don't do anything and they won't consider it. And so it's just so fascinating. People are like, yeah, I sat down and I went and I made a list. They're trying to make a list of all the things I love and I enjoy. And I've done phone sessions with people that have a list. They're like, I already did all this, Corey. And then it's like, well, we're going to do it anyways. And we start going through the list. There's things that are on their list that shouldn't be on there. There are things that they just like to do, but they don't love to do. And there's other things that they really love to do that weren't on the list. And it's always fascinating to me. They're perplexed at how they couldn't come up with that list on their own. And it's like, as I point out their limiting beliefs and their story that gets in the way of them even examining or looking in the area that's exciting and compelling, you can't move. It's like wanting to cross a river, but the bridge is out, and the next open bridge is 100 miles in either direction, and you don't have a vehicle. You just got your feet. So you're going to have to figure something out. And so what I want to attempt to do as I go through this, I'm going to read this quote, is to kind of point this guy in the right direction of the steps, because it's a process. He's not going to be able to watch this video and all his problems are going to be solved. He's going to have a plan, a process to implement and to move forward. Because it's kind of like you have to peel the layers of an onion to get to the root of what's really important to you. And the more shit that you got in the way, the more BS stories that you've acquired over the course of your life, of your limitations, of your abilities, and what you're capable of, the harder it's going to be for you to get down to the core issue of things you really love and you really enjoy, and then start searching for a career or a business that matches up to that. So the quote that I've got I want to share with you is, one of our 6 human needs is the need for variety. This sometimes conflicts with our other human need for certainty and stability in our lives. What you love doing for a living today might someday feel like a soul-crushing, joyless chore after you've done it for too many years. With everyone having extra time in their hands due to social distancing and shutting down the economy unexpectedly, we're all faced with contemplating what we like and don't like about our lives. The key to making major life changes successfully is to do it slowly, methodically, and in a balanced, measured, and healthy way. Perpetual success in your professional life is a result of learning to trust your gut instinct, being infinitely patient as your plans unfold, being slow to change your mind, but quick to adapt and change your approach as you encounter setbacks and failure, while implementing the science of high achievement fundamentals and the process of achieving your grandest goals and dreams. So again, this is the science of high achievement fundamentals. Really what it boils down to is a mindset and how you approach the challenges and the problems in life and how you get through them. Because most people just try to avoid their problems. And when you spent most of your life emotionally trying to avoid things that are unpleasant, when you have to do something that causes you to stretch out beyond your comfort zone and do things that are uncomfortable, like picking up the phone and calling prospective employers to see if they have any positions open or who to send your resume to or to follow up with a resume, if you're not used to doing things like that, that can seem intimidating and scary to do that. If you got your whole life built up, you got a house, you got a mortgage, you got car payments, you got a wife, you got kids, you got family, you got bills, you got private school you're sending them to, and you're getting up every day and you're having to force yourself to go to a job or a business that you no longer are excited about, you can't just hit the reset button and say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. You have to come up with a very methodical plan. In some cases, it might require you to downsize and liquidate some of your assets and your expenses so you can get your income or your expenses down to a level where your new income will enable you to have a decent lifestyle. So there's a lot of things that people in these situations have to think through. It's not like just snap your fingers and, hey, my problems are solved. Hey, I read Corys' book, Mastering Yourself, for free at understandingrelationships.com, and now everything's solved. It's like you have to implement it. And as you know from my book, Mastering Yourself, if you've read it, is that, I mean, this is like my whole life history of all the careers and all the businesses that I've had, and how I took that success mindset, the science of high achievement fundamentals, and I just applied it over and over and over and over. Because what's going to happen initially when you come up with a great idea, you're going to have faith and you're going to have passion that's going to work out, and you're going to be excited about it. But as the years roll on and you're 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years into it and you don't really feel like you have the success that you want, that faith that you had 10 years ago, that's pretty much going to be, that's going to be gone. That passion and enthusiasm is still there, but at the end of the day, you still don't know if you're really going to make it and achieve the things that you want. So what you're left with is the grind. In other words, faith isn't enough to carry you through, and passion isn't enough to carry you through. You have to fall back on the action steps of the science of high achievement. Noticing what's working, noticing what's not working, changing your approach, constantly taking action, learning from your mistakes, learning from your failures. It's the same thing over and over, day in and day out. Most people just don't have the guts to stick with it. They just give up because, oh, this is hard. I want something easy. I want to go back to checking out, so to speak. I want to go back to my television programs and my getting wasted on the weekends and not paying attention to these things. That's why most people never really reach their full potential, is because of the story that they tell themselves. It's like they never really even get off the starting line. So let's go through his email. He says, hello, Corey. I hope all is well with you and this end of the world happening. The reason I am reaching out is because the situation is affecting me mentally and my self-esteem. If you don't like what you're doing and you're spending 40, 60, 80 hours a week at a job you hate, that is going to suck the joy out of living. I know. I've been there many times. I know what it feels like. I spent many years in jobs I fucking hated, and I got up and I did it over and over and over again. And if you're struggling with that, I highly encourage you to go to understandingrelationships.com, subscribe to the email newsletter, and start reading my book so you can see how I did it, so you can start implementing these things. Because it's a process. And you got to think in terms of decades when you're trying to accomplish big goals. The problem seems to be that everybody or most people are happy with their job or have passion for it. I don't know if I'd agree with that. I think the average person tolerates what they do. They may like it, but they're not crazy and in love with it. Because most people, it's like they get into a job or a career, they don't really learn much more than the basics. Like they learn what they need to do the job, and that's it. They want to put in their 40 hours and go home. And there's a lot of people that are like that. We need people that are like that. That's the reality. But not everybody is satisfied with that level of consciousness, with that level of living. They want more, like me. I want more. And if you're watching this video, you're somebody that's hungry as well. You're not satisfied and you want more. You want things to be better than they are. It drags me down because all the jobs I've had so far, I never liked them. It was basically for money. Well, one of the important things that you'll see that I wrote about in Mastering Yourself is that when my internal enthusiasm was gone for a job, I was looking for the next one. I didn't stay there for years and years like you have done. When you knew the job sucked, and you were over it, and it wasn't fun, and it wasn't challenging, and you didn't feel like you were growing your reserve of knowledge, and you weren't growing your skills or your talent anymore, that's when you need to start looking for the exits. That's when you need to line up the next job. You don't stay there for 5 years complaining about how bad it sucks, because you just 5 years of your life went by and you did nothing to move your life forward other than to get up and go clock in collect your steady paycheck. This current job I have, a medical lab technician, I reached my goal after 5 years just to realize that I don't like it anymore. I want to do something else that fulfills me. I'm tired of following money. Well, if you've always followed money, you're not going to be happy. If you're following a career to add value through some kind of product or service you love, you value, you have a passion for, you're going to do a lot better, because when you love it, you'll work harder at it. You'll immerse yourself in it. You'll obsess over it. You'll spend more time studying and learning about it than the average person who's just doing it for money. That's why it's so important. If you want to reach your full potential, you got to be doing things that are fun. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing, find something that's fun and go do it. You can't just sit there and stare at the walls month after month, week after week, year after year and complain, but yet do nothing to change the trajectory of your life. Your life is still zipping by and you're running out of time to live it and create the things you want. He says, I try to look for something I could be enjoying doing, but it seems that I can't find that spark, that thing that tells you, oh my God, this is what I want to do. Like you, when you realized that construction would be your calling. So when I was 18, 19 years old and I was trying to figure out what to major in, I love building, I love doing things with my hand. My dream had always been to buy, fix and sell single-family homes to make a profit. That's what I had dreamed about. And then, so it was easy to look through, okay, I either need to learn to build or need to learn the real estate and the finance side of things. And since I like to build and I love doing things with my hand, I was very mechanically inclined, and I was pretty good at math when I actually applied myself, I went and chose construction management. And that was a whole path to get me through it. And I worked 3 different major jobs, major careers in the construction industry before I left to start my own business. But each one of those companies, when I got to the point where I was getting up every day and going to work and I wasn't digging it, that's when I started looking for the new job, a new opportunity. And it was typically, in my case, between a year to 2 years before I got bored and didn't feel like I was challenged anymore and started looking for the next, where's the next career path? Where's the next branch to grab onto if you're swinging from branch to branch? That's the really important thing. That's why I moved through so many jobs and careers and businesses in the, this short period of time, especially in like my 20s and 30s. I did a lot. And if, like I said, in this case, you 5 years, and it's like at what point did you realize that the job sucked and it wasn't exciting? That's where you're fucking up, is that you're staying because of the money instead of looking for the next thing that's fun to do. That's a big part of your problem. When it's no longer fun, you got to look for the next challenge, the next opportunity, the next rung in the ladder to step up to, the next stair in the staircase of success. He says, I'm feeling down. All aspects of my life are fulfilled at the moment, but not professionally. It never was. I'm just obliged to work because the system obligates me to do so. So there's part of his story. Well, I'm just kind of forced to get up and go work this shitty job every day because the system makes me do it. It's the system. It's not me. It's the system. Nobody. It's you. I think every day on what I could be doing for a living, but no success. Well, it's really important, and I've done many videos over the years, and I go through detail in my book on how to put a list together of all the things you love and enjoy. You got to find out what your core driving force needs are. Those are the things that you love to do day in and day out. They could be activities and jobs you had in the past. They could be hobbies. They could be interests. The goal is to get a list of all the things you love and enjoy. Not the things you like, but things that you love and you're fucking passionate about. The kind of things that are so fun, so compelling, they're kind of effortless. In other words, they require no effort. It feels like playing when you actually are busy doing them. That's the important thing. And so once you have the list, then you're going to take the list and try to find a career or a job where more of the things that are on your list can be done as part of your day in, day out activities. Some of the things that are on your list might be things that are just strictly you're going to do in your personal life, in your free time. The important thing is if you got 20 things that you love and enjoy more than anything, and 12 of them you can do in your job, in your career, your life's work, and the other 8 are things that you can do in your personal time, your spare time, because you love and enjoy them. If you got 20 things in your list, in between your life's work and your how you live your life socially and personally on your days off, if you get to do all 20 of those things day in and day out, you're going to feel like you're doing what you were put on this earth to do. However, you're always evolving, you're always growing, and you're going to get tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again. Again, one of our 6 human needs is variety. We have to have constant variety. But, like I said in the quote, we also have the need for certainty, which means we want stability, we want a roof over our heads, we want food on our plates, we know that we're going to have cash in the bank to pay our bills. So if you need variety, you need to shake things up, but yet you still want things to be stable, that's where the difficulty comes in for a lot of people. Is those 2 primary needs can be in conflict with one another, and that's why it's so important to put together a methodical step-by-step plan that you can take. For this guy, the plan is to get everything down on paper he loves and enjoys, and then to try to find a job that he can start at, even if it's entry level or a career or even a business that involves those things. If you're going to go and become an entrepreneur, you should only do it if you really want to work for yourself, if you're self-motivated, and you can get up every day and take action on things you have a passion for. You got to find some kind of product or some kind of service that you love, you value, you enjoy, and you believe in. Because it's very hard to sell a product that you don't believe in, but you think you're going to make a big commission on. It's very easy to sell a product that you love, you have a passion for, that you use yourself, and that you believe in. Your enthusiasm will sell that product or service. So unless you come across some kind of product or service that you love and you believe in and that you want to do, you should be looking for some kind of a career. Because it's not easy being an entrepreneur. If you want to learn about what it's like being an entrepreneur, like Elon Musk says, it's like eating glass and staring into the abyss of death. It's a fucking pain in the ass, and you got to have a lot of inner strength and testicular fortitude, to borrow a term from Dick Marcinko, the founder of SEAL Team 6. It takes balls to go through and pursue things that you're passionate about. But again, the first thing is a list. Once you got the list, then you're going to look for a business or some kind of career. Ideally, if you don't have the cash flow to start a business on your own and not work, you're going to have to, and you still want to be an entrepreneur, it's something you're going to have to build in your spare bedroom while you work for the man, if you will, and earn enough money so you can pay your bills. I would also highly recommend that maybe you downsize and you start kind of living like a broke college student if you're going to start a business, because that way you minimize your expenses and you leave enough of the capital that you're earning from your current job to give you money to invest in your business to experiment, because you got to pay. Websites are expensive. Hosting fees can be expensive. Web developers can be expensive. Pay-per-click campaigns can be expensive. Advertising campaigns can be expensive. So you're going to need capital to experiment. And if you don't like the idea of blowing the $500 that you just made this past week in a couple of hours testing a pay-per-click campaign to advertise your product or service, you probably shouldn't be an entrepreneur. You should probably be an employee who works for a company, who has a job that you love and that's stable and that's fun. Because being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. Not everybody's cut out to do it. That is reality. And anybody else that tells you differently is full of shit and trying to sell you something. I think every day on what I could be doing for a living, but no success. Those corporate jobs are like bleh. And I also thought about being an entrepreneur, but no idea in what. Again, you got to have a product or service you love and you believe in if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur. And if you don't have a product or service you believe in, don't be an entrepreneur. Or don't be an entrepreneur until you find one. I'm starting to realize that I might be doomed and accept that I can't do what I like. See, this is part of the story that you give to soothe your ego. It's not my fault. I'm just not cut out for this shit. I just don't have what it takes to be happy and fulfilled and have fun in my career. Again, that justifies doing nothing to help yourself. And this is what all people that never reach their full potential do. They slowly sabotage themselves until they got a story that's ironclad, and no matter how much enthusiasm and positivity and uplifting encouragement you can give somebody, like, no, they got it all figured out, ain't no way it's going to work. It's not in the cards for them. And we all know people like that. Never care more about somebody else's life or helping somebody else than they care about helping themselves. He says, I need your help, Corey. I need a different angle to look at this. A perspective from a guy that made it and went through the grind. Well, that's the important thing. Like I said, once your faith is gone and the enthusiasm and the passion is not enough to carry you through it, you got the grind. In other words, you get up every day, day in and day out, and you take action. Because someday, when you learn enough and you become experienced enough, eventually you'll figure out the right way to put it together. That's the way you've got to think. And so, like I said, in your case, those are the basics. So make a list of all the things you love and enjoy, and then try to find some kind of a job where you can do more of those things that are on your list. And also look at what you currently do for a living. In this case, he's a medical technician. If you got a list of 20 things on your list and 2 or 3 of them you get to do day in and day out in your medical technician job, well, it's pretty obvious that you're barely doing 10% of the things you love and enjoy. Anybody is going to feel like they're not fulfilled in their professional career. So that is the important thing. Get your list together and start looking for a job or a business that lines up with that. And then, if you say you're going to be an entrepreneur, you can build it in your spare bedroom while you continue to work in a job you're probably not going to be too excited about, you're not going to like that much. Just like what I did. I mean, nobody wants to be 39 years old and go from making $500,000 a year to waiting fucking tables and, making $80 a night on a fucking slow night in the middle of the summer. That fucking sucks. That's humbling. But I was willing to do that and sleep on my fucking dad's couch at 39, 40 years old, because I knew that eventually I would figure out a way to bring my business to the world in a way they go, man, this guy can really fucking help me. So I've been through it over and over the course of my life, many times, many careers, many businesses that I've had. So I know the process. I've mastered it in my own life. And if you've got some pressure points and you're struggling and you kind of feel like you're hitting the wall and you're going, God damn, this list is a motherfucker. Or I have my list and yet I still feel like I'm spinning my wheels. So if you're struggling and you'd like my help personally, go to understandingrelationships.com, book a coaching session with yours truly, and I will be happy to help you with it. And in the meantime, I encourage you to read Mastering Yourself for free at understandingrelationships.com. There's also paperback and Kindle and audiobooks available through Amazon and Audible and iTunes. And also, if you're struggling in your personal life, 3% Man obviously is free as well at understandingrelationships.com. So with that said, until next time, I will talk to you soon.